What's going on, everybody? It's Brian Trippe. I am here in beautiful Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome to another episode of the REI Live, Real Estate Investing Live podcast. This is episode number 96. We interview the very best entrepreneurs and real estate investors from all throughout the country, and today is definitely no different. We have Mr. Dan Schwartz with us today. How's it going, Dan?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me, Brian.
I'm fired up to learn more about you because I know you, and I've actually known you for a while. I've known of you for a while. I've listened to you on other podcasts, in particular Joe McCall's podcast, probably about 4 or 5 months ago. So I know what you're about. I've been paying you for the past 3 years, probably. So it's nice to get to know some people that I've been paying for this long a period of time. So I definitely want to get into a company that you have, that you own, InvestorFuse. We're going to talk about that. But before we do any things like that, Dan, I really want to know about you a little bit more. I want to get to know who you are. How did you get into, I know you're in a little bit in a real estate space. You were doing some wholesaling. How did you even get into real estate, and how did you come up with what is InvestorFuse and what is it?
Yeah, sure. Well, first, I appreciate your business. I definitely have known of you for a long time now, and we got to exchange some words in Tampa just the other weekend. So I'm sure we'll be crossing paths again many times in the future. So I started, I cut my teeth in this business as a wholesaler in Baltimore, and hundreds of deals under my belts. Basically got really good at REOs back in 2011. After I graduated from college in 2010, I made the decision to go the entrepreneurship route because it just seemed like if given the choice of having a limited income versus an unlimited income, I'm always going to take the unlimited route, right? Like it was that clear for me, instead of having to be confined to a job, and having the freedom to pursue an unlimited income and really my ideal lifestyle is what has driven me up to this point. So between 2011 till now, I was touring full-time as a musician in a band called Pigeons playing ping pong, which you can add that link to the show notes. It's a real band. They're legit. They're still playing today. I left the group in in 2015, essentially due to my desire to have just a more free lifestyle. It's tough to be a musician on the road, despite how much fun it is and how great of a creative outlet it was for me at the time. I really wanted to focus on building systems to serve people and be an entrepreneur and just, travel on my own terms. And it was during that period before that, when I was traveling and doing deals in Baltimore, that I really got obsessed about building systems, because like a lot of your listeners, I actually kind of resent systems and the whole concept of creating processes and documentation and creating systems. It's not something that my brain naturally likes to do and execute. If that makes any sense, I know how important it is to have systems and how important it is to build engines for your business so it operates without you as the bottleneck. But it's easier said than done. So I leaned into that resistance and started chipping away and using existing technology solutions to build systems that would allow me to free up my time and get out of my own way. So my team back in Baltimore could effectively handle all the inbound leads and follow up with everybody and get to the appointments on time and closings. And back in 2011 and 2012 and through 2015, there's a lot of kind of disparate systems, and it was a very complex tech world to navigate. Still kind of is today. And the one thing that kind of glued everything together that we can talk about a little bit was this tool called Podio, which I know a lot of your coaching students use. And that was what I got really good at while I was traveling. And I was able to isolate the specific elements of our business that needed to be automated and how I could use Podio to build little execution frameworks for my team. And then I started sharing that, and other folks needed that help as well. Instead of trying to figure it out for themselves on Podio, which is a whole process, really deep rabbit hole where you need to learn how to code, and you need to understand workflow, and you need to understand, systems thinking. And that basically led to the creation of InvestorFuse, which is a done-for-you Podio workspace that we charge monthly for. It's our own code base that interfaces with Podio, if that makes any sense.
Nope.
And doesn't need to make sense. It
Not
helps
to me.
people. It helps people handle their leads. It gives them a process to handle their leads at scale, so that stuff doesn't fall through the cracks, and so everybody knows what to do, and so you can track your marketing and make sure you're making money from these leads that you're already spending
For sure.
a ton of money on. And 500 plus companies later, we've learned a lot about lead management, and that's sort of paving the way for the future of what we're building, which we can talk about as well. But that's sort of my story, just in a nutshell.
And by the way, Dan, real quick, I'm not going to let you get off the hook with this Pigeons playing ping pong band. Like, we got to talk about this because I had Matt Terrio on a few months back, and he kind of glossed over his hip hop career in the late 80s, early 90s. So I don't let people – I'm a music guy, big music guy. So if anyone who follows me, you know me, I'm going to 50, 75 shows and concerts every single year. Love music. So I want to know about this band. I'm going to look them up, but you're not in it anymore. So, but
I'm not in it anymore, but yeah, it's high energy, psychedelic funk music.
All right. So think Grateful Dead on, steroids?
It's more Red Hot Chili Peppers meets the Grateful Dead on steroids.
All right.
Add in a little dance music element, and then that's what this band is. We started in college, the University of Maryland.
All right.
And just didn't stop playing after college. And then all of a sudden we got good, and people started noticing, and we started building a whole team and organization around it. And then 180 dates per year in 2013 is a lot of time on the road, and it's just been a lot of grassroots building of this fan community, which is now called The Flock, which is it's really taken on a life of its own. They're selling out shows across the country at this point.
Really?
And I left as it started to get crazy, because I knew that was the trajectory that the band was going on, and I didn't see that as my ideal future. Despite how fun it might sound to a lot of you, it's different when you're in that, doing it every single day. But yeah, high energy, super high energy dance shows basically is what it is. I play the drums, and that's what I do when I'm not entrepreneuring or traveling.
Gotcha. Sounds awesome. I used to play the drums too. I started playing when I was 4. Yeah, long time ago.
You still got a kit?
I had one. I sold my last one right before I got married 8 years ago. So nope. But I've got 2 little kids now, and one of them can't sing worth a lick, and I feel like the next one's going to be able to sing a little bit. So maybe the drum kit for the girl.
Just look out for any tapping. If they start tapping, then it's in their future.
Oh man, she's got it down, man. She's got my rhythm for sure. Awesome. Well, cool. I'm interested. I'm definitely going to check them out. They're still playing today, and it sounds like they're still doing some.
Yeah, they're on a big coast to coast run right now. Maybe you can catch them in Birmingham.
Interesting. So you said earlier when you were talking that you got out of that because you wanted more freedom.
Yep.
In your life, and life on the road. I was never a traveling musician, even though I've played a ton. There's not a lot of freedom in that. So giving up the potential glories and the fame of a band, which sounds like that could have happened. That could have been the trajectory for you. You gave that up because you wanted more freedom. Just talk about freedom in general, where, we've talked about it on the show frequently about most people get into something like real estate because they feel like they want time and freedom, but they end up creating these crazy businesses for themselves to where like just take me, for instance.
Yeah.
Kind of create this monster that you really can't get out of the way of.
Yeah. Everybody listening to this needs to ask themselves the question, why are you listening to this podcast right now? And if you ask why enough times, you'll get to the underlying reason, whether it's, being able to support your family or being able to operate on your own time, or there's a reason other than money why everybody is listening to this podcast and why everybody's in this business. And it's important to really execute from that core source every single day. So that's an important thing that I tried to do, and I'm getting better at honing that in a little bit. And freedom is certainly my driving force. It's something that you need to define for yourself, because freedom is such a vague term. It can mean so many different things. For me, it is the literal meaning of it, just being able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. And then making sure that what you want is coming from a good place. Because some people, might make the excuse of, I want to just not do anything, or I want to just do completely self-serving things. Right. So you need to make sure, you need to get clear on what you really want to do, and then make your goal, I just want to be able to do that all the time, on my own time, with who I want, where I want.
Right.
Because I think that's the essence of being a human being. And the more I explore this concept, the more I find my purpose to be helping people to get to that point as well. Everybody should have the capacity to live a free life. And I just happen to make tools that kind of help chip away at that challenge.
For sure. So yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the, you mentioned the word automation, you mentioned the word systems and processes and things like that. And it's going to be very difficult to have a business that serves you and that pays you well, that gives you that freedom. I like your definition. I like to add in a little thing at the end there, by the way, do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whomever I want, with no financial consequences, right? Mm-hmm. Throw in that little tagline there at the end. That's my definition of freedom. That's why I got into this. That's been my mantra for 6+ years now, 7 years going on. Mm-hmm. So the systems, the automation, that's kind of where you come in. You can't even have a business if you don't have these things, or else you're just going to constantly be feeding this thing. And that's where you come in. When did you realize that was it was the systems thing, it was the automation thing that you needed to get down?
A couple books I'm going to drop right now. One of them is Work the System by Sam Carpenter.
Okay.
That gave me the revelation that even complicated systems like real estate transactions can be systemized. And there's no excuses to not explore that. The most complicated businesses in the world, if you think about Apple, mm-hmm. they are dialed in. There's thousands of employees that are all operating under SOPs. And, it takes one step at a time to get to that point. But if you look at a company like Amazon or Apple, realize that they scaled to that point because of systems and processes. Now, there's no excuse for small mom and pop investors to really lean in on that and incorporate that mindset into their business. So that was the first realization, is that even complex systems can be structured. And the other thing was just trying it. So I remember the first system I made was like a video walkthrough of how I pulled comps on the MLS that I sent to a VA that I hired. So that there's two elements going on here. There's team, and then there's automation. And you can't really have one without the other. You need to have a human element in place. And once I did that, and then I didn't have to ever pull comps again, it was like, oh, now I get it. Like now I can really lean into this and make sure that I have processes for everything. And I'm in control of doing the things that I want to do, and then making sure that someone's in place to do the rest. And that sort of snowballs, the more people you have and the more systems you have in place, you can realize that you can step away from a lot of the day-to-day stuff and just focus on building engines versus working inside of the engine. And then that has a snowball effect. So you can take an even bigger step back and look at your business from a 10,000 foot view. And, this all sounds good in practice, in theory, but in practice it's different. Like you have to use some grit to build these systems out and to dial them in and to make sure you have team members effectively running those engines for you. It's a different way to think of, especially those of you that come from a technical background or a technician's background where you're used to working in the system. It takes a couple years. Don't think that this is an overnight thing to get that mindset. But I think it's critical for any entrepreneur that wants to step out and, do what they want. In order to do what you want, you need to build systems and plug other people into them.
Yeah.
So Work the System is a good book. And then also The E-Myth, which I'm sure is recommended a lot.
Michael Gerber.
Yes, sir.
The E-Myth Revisited is the one I've read. Yeah, great great stuff. And I also like the cash flow quadrant because it talks a lot about that kind of
technician. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I like that one too. So I love that you gave an example there because we get a lot of people on the show that say, systems, processes, automate, and they say all this stuff. And I think to someone who's either new or newer, you hear it and you don't really know what does he mean by that exactly? Because you can hear, oh yeah, I need to have systems. How can I do this? But I love that you just gave a simple example of I never have to pull comps again because now I made a video. It could be a 3 to 5 minute training video where I can give it to anybody. You gave it to a VA. I can give it to anybody. And now they can do that for me. That is a system. That's one system. That's one process. And that's very elementary, but that's a real life example where I think if you start to now the next logical step is write out every single thing that you do and make a video. That's just that simple. And it just all starts there. Make a little training video.
Can I mention some more examples?
Come on.
So another example of a system, which kind of started this whole Podio thing, was me realizing that most of the day-to-day stuff for lead management, people were like doing manually, like generating offers and sending out offers and stuff like that. So I figured out how to use Podio to click a button that says generate PDF of offer. It generates the PDF and it emails it to the seller automatically.
Awesome.
This was back in 2014. I shot this video out and it went viral online. The simplest possible thing. Click a button, generates a PDF of the offer that's been put into the system. All you need to do is fill out the offer price and the name and then click generate PDF. And it's that simple concept of, these high value activities like sending offers and generating offers, communicating with sellers, you can actually use technology to remove yourself out of that too.
Yeah.
And that gave me the realization of, oh man, what if I extrapolated that simplicity across the whole sales pipeline of doing a deal and packaged it up into one thing so people had that power and could step away from a lot of the menial stuff day to day. And that's how InvestorFuse was born. Just from those simple little click this and this complex thing happens. That's
awesome.
That's how to use automation exclusively to execute something that normally you would have had to do.
Yeah. And when we were down in Tampa last week, we got to hear from obviously a lot of great speakers, a lot of great people in that room, incredible room to be in. I'm very honored to have been in that room for sure.
Same.
And we got to hear from Cody Sperber, who, and you can take it or leave it, whatever you think about him from his marketing tactics. I think, some of it's pretty ingenious, to be honest, but take him or leave him. It doesn't matter what you think about him. He said one thing that it really struck me as simple, but it was just to hear it from him where he's talking about, 8-figure businesses, right? When he says the key to his success is that he has been able to automate everything.
Yeah.
Like if he has one message to get out to anybody, it's just automate as much as you can possibly automate to make your life that much simpler to where you can move on to the next thing, start working on the harder stuff.
Yeah. He showed a picture of his Infusionsoft sequences. So Infusionsoft is like an email messaging system. And he showed a picture of one of his funnels. There was 100 little boxes all connected to each other somehow, which represents the journey of an email subscriber and how many emails they get. It was crazy.
Yeah, mine has 10. My biggest
one. Exactly. I thought I had an awesome email sequence. There's 30 emails in there. But this guy he goes nuts on that because it makes him a lot of money and he understands the value of just automating the crap out of your business.
I think he had when someone signs up for something, they get they're on a 180-day cycle to receive an email a day.
An email a day.
80 emails.
It's crazy. So
that's automation. That's systems. That's processes.
And automation doesn't need to be tech. Automation can also be a VA doing something. Mm-hmm. Right?
That's awesome.
Joe McCall always says to me, if a VA can do it, it's automated.
For you, it is.
Yeah.
And that's what matters, right? The time and is freeing you up. And, you know, we literally had a sales meeting this morning to where it's like, guys, you've got to stop. The bottleneck in our process is when you send me the deal. That's the bottleneck. Like when you send it to me and now I have to like send it to my buyers list, that's the bottleneck. That's where things get tripped up. How can we fix this? Let me give, you know, somebody on my team, you know, here, you now have my buyers list, someone I trust. You get it to your VA, get it to the VA. Let's get the stuff automatically sent out to our buyers to where it doesn't have to come through me or anyone. It's just automatically done. That's a system. It might not be the most perfect system in the world, but that's a system. And just so anytime you're looking to do something like this and you've got your entire business mapped out on a piece of paper, we do it in an org chart, organizational chart, who's responsible for what. And for me, I'm trying to get rid of myself. I don't want to be anywhere on here. I just want to be gone from that part of the business. I want to focus on the money-making activities. What's going to generate us the most amount of money? I want to focus my time on that. And if it's the marketing and the branding where I'm doing podcasts like this, then let me do more of these, right?
Yeah. 80-20. So let's have a quick conversation about the 80-20 principle, which kind of governs my whole life.
All right.
The 80-20 principle, for those who don't know, means that there's a small essential few things that generates the bulk of your results. The 80-20 aspect of it is 20% of your input can yield 80% of your desired output. And this is a law of nature that you can find everywhere, and it extrapolates even down to like the 2% of your results make up 50% of your outcomes. Like basically the concept is there's a small thing that has a big leverage effect. And it's important to develop an awareness around that in your life and in your business. 20% of your marketing is going to give you 80% of your deals. 20% of the things you're doing every single day actually give you 80% of your results. So if you were to isolate that 20% and then hone in and only work on that 20%, all of a sudden, you know, like fractals, you kind of zoom in and you realize that of that 20%, there's actually a certain like small few things that will yield a greater result. So it's a very important concept to understand in business, especially as a CEO, when you're executing and you're doing a lot of things and you're overwhelmed. Focus on the things that give you the biggest leverage. And most of it is, you know, the other 80% of stuff is low dollar value type of activities.
Right.
So I created a chart to help you kind of understand what tasks you should be focusing on. That, if you don't mind, I share a link, people can look at it.
Definitely.
If you go to InvestorFuse.com/80-20, it's going to link you to a chart that splits up your day-to-day tasks of a real estate acquisitions team in 4 different columns separated by dollar per hour. So $5 per hour tasks, $100 per hour tasks, $1,000 per hour task, and $10,000 per hour tasks. And the goal is to be hanging out in the $10,000 per hour and $1,000 per hour, you know, management and owner columns. And I list out some of the activities that you should be focusing on. Stuff like building systems, you know, recruiting, building culture in your team so that people are happy at work and they have higher quality output. Exercising, you know, self-care, making sure that you have energy every single day. Opening up new profit centers, expanding to new markets, strategy thinking, coming up with new marketing plans. Not the stuff like messing with your Adobe Acrobat, sending out offers, executing your marketing, you know, talking to sellers, you know, pre-qualifying crappy leads, messing with your call system, messing inside your CRM, building Podio out. All of these low dollar per hour tasks aren't actually making you money.
Yeah.
The sooner you can step away from those and use team plus automation to really organize your life around those 2 columns on the right, you're going to notice the effect within a couple months.
Definitely.
It's a lot more fun as well.
Yeah. And you're just talking about the difference between you're working in your business or working on your business. And that's really, you know, going back to the E-Myth, you know, you just like, how can we, let's do something one time. Let's work on this thing one time that will now be a system that's going to help us, you know, in our business for the next, you know, certain amount of time. And then you bring up a quote that I hear from Joe McCall a lot is where you show me an expert at the day-to-day, you show me an expert at the CRM, I'm going to show you a broke wholesaler.
Exactly.
So that's straight out of Joe McCall. So man, I'm totally with you. But as a beginner though, let me just ask you this. As a beginner, this might, because we have a lot of people listening who are newer. Mm-hmm. This kind of stuff, how can you take a system and a process and apply it to someone who's brand new, let's just say at wholesaling?
Well, a lot of it's going to be mindset stuff that need to work on. The biggest objection people have is, if I'm just starting out, how can I outsource something? If I don't have enough experience doing this certain task, how am I going to be able to outsource it? I can't afford to outsource it. So there's some limiting beliefs that you have to get over. And what you need to realize is that as the creator of the system, that is your value. Your value when you're outsourcing is you have found an opportunity that needs a system in place for someone else to execute. You're giving someone else a job. You're giving someone something to do. And that in itself has value because most technicians, they find meaning in just having work to do, right? Whereas you find meaning in, why you're listening to this podcast. That is the source of your meaning. And you need to sort of get over the biggest limiting belief people have is outsourcing to someone else. And when you're starting out, you need to start developing that muscle first. So you need to hire a VA, you need to bring on an acquisitions assistant. You can't afford somebody, split the deals, get creative, have them work for free, exchange real estate education in exchange for their work, apprenticeship. But working with someone, I think, is the biggest way to get over that hump. If you're just starting out and you haven't done a deal yet, sure, it makes sense to hustle and get that first deal closed so you understand the transactional nature of the business.
Definitely. So
that you can feel the pain and understand the importance of building systems. So if you haven't done a deal yet, hustle, do the first deal, but just hear my voice in your head every single day. Every time you're on the computer doing something, realize that there's a system that you can put in place to get that off your plate in a month.
Totally. No doubt about it. No, I love that. I tell people to hustle. Look, if you're broke, you're dead broke. You're listening to this right now. Go drive for dollars right now. It's going to cost you a little bit of gas, a little bit of time. Drive for dollars. Get that first deal under your belt. Understand how to do a deal. It's hard to make a system for something that you've never even done. So you need to go and do it. Yep. Understand what it is you're trying to teach someone else to do. Go do 3, 5, 10 deals. Then start to build up your bank account, build up your confidence, and then you can start to bring someone else on to teach them the business. I love it.
I have a good tool for people that are just starting out and they're relying on bird dog deals. Can I share it? Do you know?
This is your podcast, man.
Do you know about our side product called InvestorFuse? It's a text bot for postcard campaigns.
I do not.
All right. It's probably because I haven't really marketed this thing at all. It's just been a word of mouth growth.
Well, let me say this. In fairness to me, I barely even know what the heck you even do.
Yeah.
And I've been subscribing to your stuff for a long time just because my acquisitions manager said, we have to have this. I said, okay, well then we have to have it. Then do it.
All right. Well, we can talk about this because I think it's important to understand the systems that you need in order to 10x your business and step out of the way.
All right.
So let's talk about that. The first thing is InvestorFuse. It is a text bot where you text an address of a property that you're standing in front of, and it will magically start sending postcards to the owner for $1 per postcard. Text an address, mails the owner. It's as simple as that. And it checks to see if the owner is an absentee owner. It verifies the owner's address. It sends a sequence of postcards over time, customized postcards, designed to get the sellers to call you. You put your tracking number on the postcards and it will ring into your system. We had a friend of ours, Zach Shepard, who just closed a $250,000 deal off of that.
It's pretty strong.
And you can invite your bird dogs into it as well. So your bird dogs can drive around and be texting addresses to InvestorFuse on your behalf. It'll bill you. Nobody can text the same address twice because the system will notify you. So it's basically the ultimate bird dogging solution with no app needed. It's just texting.
Is there a monthly fee?
Not yet. Maybe by the time this airs, there will be. It's free to sign up and it's $1 per postcard. But we're about to launch some new features and we're going to start charging monthly for it a little bit in exchange for discounted postcards and some more features like pulling title reports, for instance, where you can look at the title report, see if there's any liens on the property, see who, all the information on the title report.
So if I get in now, do I get grandfathered in?
Yeah. If you get in now, you get grandfathered in. If not, I apologize. And you're still going to get extreme amount of value from it.
So good for me because I'm going to get on there right now to register as soon as as long as it's not going to launch, right afterwards. So listen, there are a lot of things like this. There are a lot of things out there where you can snap a picture of the front of the house and it automatically downloads all the information for you and it sends a postcard. There's a lot of stuff like this. What makes you different?
Ease of use. There's no app required. It's just texting an address and then the bot tells you how to do it. So you can't mess up. It's foolproof. It's dummy proof. So you can literally recruit an army of bird dogs into it and they can't mess up. So as long as they're inputting addresses, there's all these checks and balances in place that just initiate one-off marketing for you. So it's the easiest possible thing to use and it's about to be the cheapest possible thing to use as well.
I definitely have to look into that. Sendfuse.com. How long have you had that?
GetSendFuse.com.
GetSendFuse.
We launched it a little over a year ago. I had never marketed it or anything. Just kind of fun thing. And now there's 700 users and like 8,000 postcards going out and people are using it.
Well, you're going to have about another 100 users here pretty quick.
Yeah. So that's just the side thing. My main product is InvestorFuse. So once that phone call comes in, then it's a whole nother conversion challenge.
Gotcha. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about InvestorFuse and then SendFuse sounds very interesting. I'm definitely going to get on there and talk about it. But Dan, so have you always been a tech guy? Like where did this come from? You're playing drums in a pigeon band.
Exactly. I enjoy technology. I definitely geek out on technology. I'm not a coder or anything. I'm not like I don't go that deep, but rather I'm good at isolating solutions that can be solved with technology. And specifically, I'm good at isolating 80-20 solutions that can be solved with technology. So stuff like driving for dollars is a high value activity that up until this point has been very challenging to actually monetize because most mail houses, for instance, they don't do one-off campaigns. You got to send them a list of 1,000 addresses, otherwise you can't work with them. So I realized there's got to be a way to just 80-20 text an address to a number and then it sends postcards out. Yeah. So that's what we built. And I'm good at isolating these little simple input, high value 80-20 output activities. So you can just step away and get back to focusing on stuff that matters. And that's the same philosophy we used when we built InvestorFuse.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Because for someone like me, who's not, you said you're not really a coder, but you kind of geeked out. You remind me a lot of Joe McCall. I know this is, we're dropping his name. Like he doesn't code, but he's like, I feel like he always has like the next technology, the next app, the next this, the next that.
Yeah. He's good. You have to just get good at understanding where you're the bottleneck again and have a feasibility in your head. Like, how can I use technology plus team to remove myself as the bottleneck?
It's awesome. Technology plus team.
Oh, and another thing I'd like to share, because you touched on this before, just writing out a list of everything you do.
Yeah.
So this is an amazing activity. If you're just starting out, you need to do this. I call it the Freedom Focuser list. If you search on YouTube for the Freedom Focuser list, Dan Schwartz, you'll see how I do this. There's a process for just extracting everything you do in your brain out into a document and then coming up with basically job roles for who you need to hire, who you need to aspire to hire to get that off of your plate. And then what's left are the tasks that you actually legitimately enjoy doing, that when you wake up, you're going to be pumped to go and close those deals because you've organized your business around the stuff that you enjoy so you don't burn out.
Trevor Mock has something similar to that. The energy.
Yes.
What's his thing?
Yeah. You make 2 columns, stuff that drains you, stuff that energizes you. That's an amazing thing as well.
Yeah.
But it's less structured than the Freedom Focuser list. But yeah, that's where you should be coming from this, is like, what are you doing every day that gives you energy, and how can I be doing more of that?
I agree. That's awesome. So working out is number one for me.
Yeah.
I need to be doing that, and I'm not.
Really?
Yeah, man, I'm terrible.
Yeah, but how do you feel every time you work out?
I feel sore.
Doesn't give you energy?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I know that it would if I did it.
Yeah. Once you make it a habit, then it becomes an addiction.
Yeah.
That's where you got to get to that point where you're not addicted to working out. You're addicted to having worked out.
Yeah. You know, I used to be a basketball coach, right? And I'm coaching these, Division I college athletes, these basketball players that are, big, strong guys. And, it's awesome being able to tell other people what to do.
Yeah. Run faster.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kept the clock when they had to do suicides.
Oh, man.
30-second suicides. If they didn't make it, they had to run them again. See, that's fun.
Yeah.
Not doing the suicide. So let's talk about.
You got to connect to the second order consequence of working out, not the first order consequence of going to the gym and feeling the pain, but the second order of having energy and feeling more confident
Health
about yourself.
Benefits. Right. Totally.
Yeah. That's where most people fail.
Look, it's all up here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I tried to make the connection about a year ago and was pretty consistent with it for about 3 months, and just my personal trainer kind of started going out of town a lot, and he wasn't around anymore. So
excuses.
That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. Let's talk about InvestorFuse, Dan. So I want you to tell me what it is, because I don't even know what I'm paying you for.
Okay. InvestorFuse handles your business from the point of contact of all your sellers to getting it under contract and everything that happens in between. Okay.
So let me hold on, because you got to talk to me like I don't know anything about tech. All right.
Yeah.
Which you kind of did, but I didn't. I want to understand the why behind it. So first and foremost, we use Podio. So this is pretty much exclusively for Podio users. Is that?
Yeah, but we're launching off of Podio and building our own platform. So I'll talk about it in the frame of what solution is it actually giving investors.
Okay.
All right. So I would make the argument that every deal is because of follow-up.
Okay. 75% for us. Yes.
Well, even the leads that you contacted today, they're not going to sign the contract today. You need to follow up with them tomorrow.
That's fair.
So here's the thing. When you are marketing for leads and they're coming into your world, whether it's like a phone call or someone put a lead on a website, or it was a referral sent to you, or maybe someone sends you a letter in the mail, however you're getting an opportunity to buy a property at scale, that the way you convert those leads breaks down. Especially given the fact that the majority of your deals will not want to sell for a couple months. And most people use CRMs to get all their information in one point. And even then, they sort of forget to follow up with leads. They forget to actually have a process for handling all of the incoming opportunities at scale. So what we did is realize that acquisitions teams, so the people that are answering the phone, the people that are going to the properties, the people that are researching the properties, the people that are negotiating the deals and getting under contract, all needs to play together in the same arena. And Podio is a database that lets you basically capture all of your incoming opportunities and execute on each opportunity and capture all the information and schedule tasks, et cetera, so that you can take a opportunity from inbound, captured on the phone, all the way through to let's get this thing under contract. So nurturing, having automated follow-up going out. So automated follow-up is probably the biggest piece of InvestorFuse that makes people the most money. Meaning, once you have the initial conversation with someone, you can put them on a drip sequence of emails and text messages and tasks reminders to call them and voice broadcasts and a whole multi-dimensional series of messages that you can customize and schedule out so that it contacts the seller on your behalf without having to worry about it. And then once they respond, the system will notify you so you can get on top of that. Because typically if they respond to your follow-up messages, that's hot. And you need to contact that person. So all of that.
So Podio doesn't give you any of that capability. Podio is just kind of like a blank slate database type of app.
Podio is actually a project management tool, mainly for like marketing agencies. That's like the use case. And investors took a liking to it because investors like to make things their way immediately, instant gratification, and they want to make things their way. And with Podio, you can actually customize how it looks and what fields are in there and how everything works together. And that's why investors kind of took to it. And then you can also program it to do things like if you click on generate PDF, it will generate a PDF and email it to the seller. So you can kind of program these quote unquote workflows. That's all too complicated though. You shouldn't have to be designing your own software, which is kind of what you have to do with Podio. So we created InvestorFuse to solve that problem of, okay, well, since everybody wants to use Podio and it's customizable and it is a good user interface, kind of better than most of the solutions out there. And now all you need to do is sign up for InvestorFuse and we'll give you a workspace that's already set up and already automated so you don't have to worry about any of that. And now you just have to focus on getting your team to go through our process of handling leads instead of using spreadsheets that are
So the way I'm talking a little bit like I don't really know what I'm talking about, to be honest, just because we have other people that are doing this and I'm not doing it. But I do know that we are subscribed to Podio. We're subscribed to InvestorFuse. We're subscribed to CallRail. We're subscribed to, I don't even know what else, an email system. We're subscribed to all this stuff. And the way it's set up today, that's just the way it is. And what you are saying, I think it's what you're saying, is you're about to roll something out. InvestorFuse is about to be something to where it's all in one.
It's not going to be on Podio. It's going to be our own standalone system that is easier to use than Podio. So because Podio isn't designed for real estate, it has all of these little quirky things that make it hard to use. If you sign into your Podio workspace, the first thing people feel is, okay, what do I do now? What do I click? Where do I go? There isn't a clearly defined process or experience on using it. So we realized that follow-up is crucial. Like you need to have follow-up system in place. You need to make sure you're getting a hold of your leads on time. Otherwise, you're wasting money on marketing. So in order to guarantee that people are actually going to convert their leads, we had to rethink what this whole CRM thing means. And what we realized was missing is that there isn't any system that gives you step-by-step instructions on how to do stuff. There's systems that give you tasks, but tasks are worthless because you just click on done and then that's it. There isn't any accountability for having completed that task or actually completing the task.
Yeah, you have to add another task.
You have to add another task. And you have to remember to add another task, right?
Or have someone on your team remember to add another task.
So there's all these little breaking points. Yeah. And we completely solved that issue by creating a system that is a step-by-step database. If that makes any sense. So let's pretend like you're the lead manager and you're using this new system. You're going to get a phone call. The system is, or let's say you're using an answering service, which I recommend. They input a lead into the system. You're going to get a task notification on InvestorFuse 2.0 that says, make sure to call the seller and build a rapport. And it will guide you step by step. Here's the number to call. Here's the information about the lead. Okay, how was your call? Did you get a hold of the seller? Yes or no? Okay, you got a hold of the seller? Great. What would you like to do next? Choose next action. Put on follow-up sequence. Schedule appointment. Make offer. We've designed it so it's one step, one decision point at a time. So you can't screw up your leads anymore and you don't have to think about what to do.
For sure.
So that's the difference between what we created, and we're in the process of rolling that out now.
All right, so Dan, I got a request from someone in my office. I told a guy in my office, you can call him the lead manager. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I told him this morning I was going to be talking to you, and he said, and I said, "Do you have any questions? What should I ask him? Do you have any questions I need to be asking him?" He said, "Yeah, ask him this."
Yeah.
He says, "Ask him about InvestorFuse 2.0. It's only offered to a select group of people, and I'm pretty ticked off that we don't get it for us."
Yeah,
that's what he said. So what's the deal, man?
What's his name?
Samuel Minter.
Oh, Sam Minter. How's it going, Sam? Yeah, so it's in beta right now, and we had to basically limit it to a certain amount of people.
We didn't make the cut?
Well, it was first come, first serve when we initially
so
launched early access.
So it's his fault.
Sure.
All right, I'm going to tell him it's his fault.
So it's in beta. It's coming out of beta soon. We've worked out all the kinks, and we're adding more and more features.
Okay.
This week we're adding KPIs and more advanced dashboard and all of these things to make it more useful as an end-to-end tool. And we're just basically getting ready to completely open the doors so anyone can sign up.
Gotcha.
But with software, you sort of have to take it one step at a time to make sure the system can handle it. So yeah, I would recommend people just join the wait list to learn a little bit more about it and to make sure you're notified when it does go public.
Gotcha. We're probably for sure moving over to it just because that's what he wants to do. So it has very little to do with me and has to do with him. But I want you to talk about this for a second, because there are a lot of CRMs I've been pitched. I actually still subscribe to one just because I don't even want to get into the names of it, and I don't even want to get into why. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of CRMs out there, Dan, that do most, if not all, of what you're saying. What does differentiate what you have or what you're about to roll out from some of the other ones that might be on the market today?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is most of the REI CRMs out there are more focused on lead generation than
not follow-up.
And so
in anything, and I don't mean to cut you off, but pretty much any CRM is going to be able to get the lead, right, and handle the lead and keep it in the database. But specific to follow-up, where, like you said, 100% for us, and I understand what you're saying, but for us, 75% of our deals are follow-up, and that is an enormous percentage, even if it is 100%, it's all of them. So follow-up's the name of the game anyway.
Follow-up's the name of the game, and it's just an afterthought in most of these CRMs. Because they focus more on lead generation. Like, look at this map and see where all the motivated sellers are in your market. Right. And that, we don't touch any lead generation. We go all in on lead management, because I feel like that is how you compete in an age where the market is hot and there's more and more investors and flipping houses every single month. It is the age of operations, and you need to have that piece dialed in. So basically, I always joke all the time, lead generation is sexy. Lead management, not so much, because lead management is all the admin and the emails and the contracts generation and the offers and the appointments. That stuff is not sexy, but like, here's all the motivated seller leads you could possibly need is way sexier. I don't really care so much about that, because there's a million ways to generate leads that are all available. You can search on YouTube and learn how to do that. You should be marketing all the time, and you should be doing your own marketing and not relying on these systems that give you leads that the same person next door has access to. You need to generate unique leads, and you need to focus on operational excellence with follow-up. And so that is how our system differentiates from most other systems. And now we don't even think of 2.0 as what we're calling InvestorFuse 2.0. We don't think of it as a CRM. We think of it as a digital lead assistant, because of its step-by-step nature, and it's so action specific, and your whole team will get the right action at the right time. And it's like having an assistant that does the CRM stuff for you, so you can focus on the 80-20. Again, this is why we made it this way. So we don't even think of it as a CRM. It is very much like a lead manager assistant to help your team stay on top of all those leads and convert as many of them as possible into deals, and to track the process the whole way. So I would say that's how we're different.
Awesome stuff, man.
Also, our support team is rocking. We have the best support team in the business. We've worked with thousands of individual members on lead management stuff, so we're really dialed in when it comes to helping people. And our team is 15 people strong now, so we pride ourselves in our support team, and you can look at our Facebook reviews to prove it.
Awesome stuff, Dan. I really do appreciate you coming on the show and talking to us a lot about lead generation, not just lead generation, but follow-up, which is obviously the name of the game. Guys, the website's getsendfuse.com. You better go right this exact second because it may not be, the grandfathering may be gone. So getsendfuse.com for sure.
For the postcard thing.
For the postcard thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, for the postcard thing, because look, there are a lot out there right now that even some people in my inner circle that are using, they're not using yours. There's monthly fees attached to them. There's all these different things. And I don't know that it's as easy as what you're describing. So I'm definitely picking that out.
You got to download an app. There's no app needed for SendFuse.
Yeah. Just all phone numbers, texting. And then InvestorFuse.com 2.0 is going to be out soon. Dan, if someone wants to reach out to you, maybe learn a little bit more, maybe watch a video or two, we're definitely going to put all the links that you gave us, the 80-20, the Freedom Focuser list. We're going to put all that in the show notes. But just if people want to reach out to you and learn a little bit more about you, how can they do that?
Yeah. So if you feel stuck right now, if you feel kind of overwhelmed with everything that we just talked about, and you're kind of like me and you know the importance of systems, but you're freaked out at having to build all these systems over time, I can totally align with you. And I'm really good at determining the next step that you should take. And for you, if that's you, the next step is to have a conversation, and I'd be happy to help work stuff out. Just email me at dan@investorfuse.com. And depending on your situation, I'll either just chat on email or we can schedule a call and I can help you work stuff out. But I think if you're new, just, remember this conversation that I had with Brian of how, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that you don't always have to be the one answering the phones, for instance. It is possible to systemize what might seem like a super complex thing right now. But just focus on getting that first deal done. Just focus on, the core basis of this business, which is connecting buyers to sellers. That's it.
Totally.
And just being real with people and giving people solutions to, their issues. That's what you're doing. And you should be really coming from a place of building systems to serve these people, because that's how you can step out and be proud that you've created something that's serving people without you actually having to be involved. And I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. And I'm happy to support anyone who thinks that way. So dan@investorfuse.com.
It's awesome, Dan. Thank you so much, guys. Hit the subscribe button right now if you want early access to some of our podcasts and you want to watch the video version so you can see Dan's awesome, cool blue sunglasses that are on his head right now. You can see the video version by going to our YouTube channel, Real Estate Investing Live.
These are my investor glasses.
He's got InvestorFuse blue sunglasses, but you couldn't see that if you're only listening. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, Real Estate Investing Live. We love you so much. We'll see you next time.